Rain had just stopped over Raven Sound Training Command. A group of SEAL rookies spotted a woman near the range. Plain uniform. No rank, no badge. One of them laughed. "So, what's your rank, ma'am?" The others joined in. Careless, cocky. She turned, calm eyes steady. "One word," she said. "Admiral." The laughter died instantly. Seconds later, the base loudspeaker echoed. "Attention all sections, Vice Admiral Corinne Harlow has arrived on deck." The recruits froze, realizing they had just mocked a legend whose missions no one dared to speak of. "Before we begin, tell us, where are you watching from? And if you believe honor and courage still matter, help keep their legacy alive." The morning fog rolled across Raven Sound Training Command, swallowing the shouts of instructors and the crash of waves against the seawall. Mud splashed under boots as SEAL candidates sprinted through the final stretch of their obstacle run. Every breath burned, every heartbeat thudded like a countdown. Caleb Mercer ran at the front. Third-generation Navy. His father had died in a classified op 18 years ago. Behind him were Lena Harwood, the Olympic swimmer who had traded medals for grit, Noah Kincaid, the strategist who solved problems like puzzles, and Jace Hallstrom, the quiet marksman who never missed. They moved as one unit, fast, efficient, and reckless enough to believe they were unbreakable. "Stay in line, Mercer." Commander Miles Harridan's voice cut through the salt air. "You're not racing ghosts. You're leading a team." Caleb adjusted his stride, jaw tight. He hated being reminded of leadership when his father's shadow already followed him everywhere. At the range later that morning, the squad prepped for live fire drills. Targets shimmered under the Georgia sun. Near the perimeter, a woman in plain gray utilities stood silently, taking notes in a small black book. No insignia, no name tag. Silver hair cropped short. Eyes calm but sharp enough to cut through excuses. Caleb noticed her watching Jace's shooting pattern, every movement logged with military precision. Noah leaned closer. "Probably a psych evaluator." Lena shook her head. "Psychs wear badges." "She doesn't." Jace didn't react at all. He just reloaded, steady and unreadable. When the drill ended, curiosity overrode caution. Caleb slung his rifle and walked toward the stranger. "Ma'am," he said, polite but with that edge rookies use when testing authority. "This is a restricted training zone." "I'm aware." She didn't look up, just wrote another note. Her tone was level, the kind that erased arguments without effort. Caleb tried again, now with a smirk. "Then maybe you can tell us your authorization. What's your rank?" The woman finally looked up. Steel gray eyes. No hesitation. "One word," she said. "Admiral." The squad froze. Then, as if on cue, the loudspeaker blared across the base. "Attention all sections. Vice Admiral Corinne Harlow has arrived on deck for inspection." Time stopped. Lena's canteen slipped from her hand. Noah's mouth stayed half open. Caleb's face drained of color. Commander Harridan appeared instantly, snapping to attention. "Admiral Harlow," he barked. "We weren't informed of your arrival, ma'am." She closed her notebook, nodding once. "That's the point, Commander." The rookies stood stiff, praying invisibility was possible. Harlow's gaze lingered on Caleb just long enough to make him flinch. Then she turned away, walking toward the command tent. Stride even, right leg favoring slightly, almost imperceptibly. The rest of the day unfolded under silent pressure. Rumors spread fast. Unscheduled inspection, high command nerves, new evaluation protocols. By dusk, every candidate felt the weight of unseen judgment. During the night swim evolution, the cold Atlantic bit into their skin. Halfway through the course, Lena noticed their compass drifting 3 degrees off. She corrected instantly, whispering, "Someone tampered with this." Next morning, during a live-fire drill, Noah caught something worse, one real round mixed among training ammo. He pulled it out, silent, showing it only to Caleb. They both knew. That wasn't an accident. Caleb reported it. Commander Harridan brushed it off. "Faulty logistics," he said. "Welcome to the Navy." But Harlow was there, watching from behind the glass of the control booth, pen unmoving. That night, Caleb couldn't shake it. He found himself outside the admin building, rain dripping from the gutters, when he saw Harlow alone under a flickering light. She looked up before he could speak. "You should be asleep, candidate. I wanted to apologize," Caleb said. "For earlier." Harlow studied him for a long moment. Arrogance is a luxury, she said softly. One combat tour usually removes it. I've never been in combat, he replied. I know, she said. Your father was. Daniel Mercer, Operation Iron Lantern. Caleb froze. That operation had been sealed since before he was born. How do you... He started. Harlow interrupted, closing her notebook. Your father understood what leadership costs. You'll learn soon enough. Thunder cracked across the coastline. For the first time since arriving, Caleb realized this wasn't ordinary training. Someone was watching, testing, and Admiral Corinne Harlow wasn't here for inspection. She was here for something and someone far more dangerous. She turned to leave, her limp more visible now in the dim light. Get some rest, Mercer, she said without looking back. Tomorrow everything changes. The door shut behind her, and for the first time, Caleb Mercer felt the chill of a war that hadn't officially begun. The next dawn came sharp and cold. Raven Sound buzzed like a disturbed hive. Every candidate moved faster, spoke less. The Admiral's shadow stretched across every evolution. Caleb's squad hit the training course again. CQB drills, breaching, cold water recovery. Admiral Harlow stood at the edge, same notebook in hand, her expression unreadable. She didn't speak, didn't correct, just watched. Lena dove into the surf, her strokes cutting the gray water like blades. Noah analyzed wind vectors during marksmanship training, adjusting with calm precision. Jace remained detached, methodical, hitting bullseyes as if it were breathing. Then the accidents began. A navigation beacon glitched, sending one team into a live demolition zone. Another squad's drone crashed seconds from a radar tower. Caleb's compass shifted again during night nav. Only Lena caught it. 3 degrees east, same as last time, she whispered. Someone's setting us up. They brought it to Commander Harridan. He dismissed them with that tired authority. You're here to adapt, not complain. Training chaos builds survival instincts. Back at the barracks, tension thickened. No one spoke openly, but everyone felt it. The sense that someone inside was pulling strings. Noah started tracking data, mapping every malfunction, every timing anomaly. His chart lit up with patterns, each failure aligned with Harlow's observation schedule. She's not inspecting us, Noah muttered. She's testing something. That night, Caleb's sleep shattered by thunder over the coast. He got permission to use the secure line to call home. On the walk back, he passed the admin wing and froze. Through a half-open door, voices, Harlow's, low and measured. Harridan's, tense and defensive. This is the 3rd breach, Miles, she said. Someone's embedding assets through our own training pipeline. It's a conspiracy theory, Harridan replied. You're seeing patterns that aren't there. Patterns don't lie, Harlow said. People do. Caleb backed away before the door creaked. He barely slept after that. By morning, rumors of dismissal and secret evaluations flooded the base. When he saw Harlow again, she was outside the hangar, waiting for him. Walk with me, she said. Her tone made refusal impossible. They paced the runway in silence until she stopped beside a locked storage shed. I know why you're here, Mercer, she said. Legacy candidates always think they can prove something. Your father tried too. She handed him a file. The red stripe across the top marked classified. Iron Lantern. Caleb opened it. A single page blacked out except one line. Mercer, D. Confirmed casualty during counter-infiltration. He looked up. Counter what? Your father didn't die training, Harlow said. He died trying to stop what's happening here. Before he could ask more, she snapped the file shut. You're being watched. Keep your squad close. Habing the Stard from Sophis. Hours later, Jace Hallstrom was gone. His bunk stripped, locker emptied, gear logged as turned in. Voluntary withdrawal, the admin officer said flatly. Caleb returned to his quarters. Under his mattress, Jace's knife, a small encrypted device, and a sealed folder marked with his own name. Inside, comm logs, transfers, and evidence labeling him a potential mole. Before he could process it, the door burst open. Military police flooded in. Candidate Mercer, you're to come with us. They marched him across the courtyard. Storm clouds rolled over the coast, thunder echoing like artillery. Inside the command building, Admiral Harlow stood waiting. The MPs left him alone with her. You set me up? He snapped. She didn't answer. Instead, she reached under the desk, opened a concealed compartment, and drew a pistol. The lights flickered, then died. Emergency sirens wailed. Red strobes turned the room into a war zone. Explosions rumbled from beyond the fence. Controlled. Precise. Not random. Harlow handed him a security card. "East Utility Tunnel," she said calmly. "You'll find what you need there." "What's happening?" he asked. "They're not coming for you," she replied. "They're coming for me." She moved to the window, watching shapes race across the fogged field. "Decide whose son you want to be, Mercer." Outside, helicopters moved low, their lights blacked out. Inside, the alarms cut into static as comm lines died one by one. Caleb's heart hammered, the card slick in his hand. He turned to her. "Admiral, what do I do?" "Survive," she said, eyes on the horizon. "Then find the truth." The next explosion hit closer, glass shattered. Smoke rolled in. Caleb dove for the floor as Harlow pulled him toward the side door. "This way," she ordered, voice calm in chaos. The corridor shook, dust raining from the ceiling. In that moment, Caleb realized the truth. This wasn't training anymore. It was a hunt, and they were already inside the trap. The base was chaos. Red lights strobed through the hallways as the ground trembled beneath their boots. Harlow moved like someone who had lived through explosions before, every step deliberate. "Down here," she ordered, pulling a metal grate aside. A dark maintenance tunnel gaped open below. Caleb hesitated, but another blast sent debris raining from the ceiling. He followed. The tunnel smelled of salt and oil. Pipes clanged overhead. Echoes of footsteps followed too many to count. Lena and Noah appeared at the far end, both armed, both pale. "Admiral," Lena whispered. "What's happening?" Harlow didn't slow. "Containment breach. Internal threat. And. Her calm tone made the words worse. They reached a steel door marked "Authorized Personnel Only." Harlow slid a card through the reader, and the door opened into an underground control room glowing with blue light. Screens covered the walls, maps, satellite feeds, encrypted message chains. Operators in unmarked uniforms turned, saluted without hesitation. "Director," one said. Caleb froze. "Director," Harlow nodded once. "Continue monitoring Sector Echo. No transmissions." She faced the squad. "You wanted answers. Here they are." The title hit like a detonator. "Director of Naval Intelligence. This base," she said, "is one of several infiltration nodes. The enemy isn't outside our walls. They're trained here." Noah stared at the monitors, lines of data scrolling faster than he could read. Project name: Tideglass. Tideglass was supposed to strengthen recruitment, Harlow continued. But it evolved. Someone started planting sleeper assets. Candidates conditioned for future activation, Lena whispered. "So this isn't about training, it's about control." On one feed, Caleb saw a helicopter lifting from the airstrip. A figure stepped aboard Jace Hallstrom. Next to him, Commander Harridan, hands zip-tied, shoved by armed men in civilian gear. Caleb clenched his fists. "They took him?" Harlow nodded grimly. "They're exfiltrating their operative, and the commander's a liability they can't leave alive." She turned to a comms officer. "Track that chopper. Target heading east, open water," the tech said. Harlow's jaw tightened. "That's our handoff point." She faced Caleb again. "You wanted to know what your father died for. This is it." The room darkened as she opened a sealed case. Inside encrypted drives, stamped Operation Iron Lantern. 18 years ago, we found proof this network existed. Your father helped expose it. He died stopping the first wave. Caleb stared at the files. "Then why is it still alive?" "Because every time we cut off a branch," Harlow said, "another grows from inside the system meant to protect us." She closed the case with a snap. "We end it tonight." Through the monitors, they watched the rogue team land on a disguised trawler 3 miles off the coast. The vessel's profile matched no registry. "Extraction ship," Noah said. "Civilian shell. Military payload." Harlow opened a secure line. The screen flickered. Secretary of the Navy appeared. Face drawn. Voice low. "Report. Tideglass is active," Harlow said. "I'm invoking Lantern Protocol." The secretary hesitated. "That's escalation to full counter-ops. Are you certain?" "Yes, sir." Authorization Echo Blue confirmed. The line cut. No time for ceremony. Harlow turned to them, the command in her voice cold and absolute. Gear up. We intercept before they vanish. Minutes later, the team boarded an unmarked fast craft slicing through rough Atlantic waves. Wind howled. The sea reflected the red glow of distant fires from the base. Caleb checked his weapon. Silent. Lena adjusted her goggles. Feels like we just got drafted. Noah managed a grim smile. Into what, though? Harlow answered without turning. Into the real war. They approached the trawler under blackout. Through the fog, silhouettes moved on deck armed, alert. Harlow gave a hand signal. Quiet entry. Non-lethal if possible. Caleb climbed first, the metal ladder slick with sea spray. He vaulted onto the deck, neutralized a guard with a single strike. Gunfire erupted, so much for quiet. Lena breached the bridge, stunning the pilot. Noah disabled the comms relay, sparks flashing as circuits fried. Caleb advanced toward the aft compartment, where Jace was transmitting data. Jace turned, weapon raised. Still following orders, Mercer? His voice was steady, almost regretful. You should have listened to your father. Caleb shot back. My father wanted transparency, Jace said. Yours buried the truth. He fired. The round grazed Caleb's arm. Caleb returned fire, one shot. Clean, disabling, not fatal. Asset secured. He breathed into comms. Harlow's voice came back, calm amid chaos. Copy that. Package confirmed. Within minutes, the trawler was theirs. Commander Harridan was alive but shaken. The encrypted drives recovered intact. Above deck, Harlow watched the horizon, the storm closing in. Tideglass just lost one arm, she said quietly. But the body's still deep. You can oughta happen resting pribes and 7 dasting. Caleb looked at the captive Jace, unconscious but breathing. He finally understood. This wasn't about a rogue trainee or a bad program. It was a hidden war, one his father had died trying to expose, and one that had just begun again. Lightning flashed over the ocean. Harlow holstered her weapon and faced the wind. Welcome to the fight, Mercer, she said. Now you know why ghosts don't rest. Dawn broke over the Atlantic, gray and cold. The captured trawler drifted toward the naval blockade, its engines silent. Admiral Corinne Harlow stood on deck, coat snapping in the wind, eyes fixed on the horizon. Behind her, Caleb Mercer helped secure the last of the evidence crates. Jace Hallstrom lay restrained near the bulkhead, breathing shallow but alive. The mission was over, but no one on that deck felt victory. When they docked at Atlantic Harbor Operations Complex, armed escorts surrounded them instantly. Secretary of Defense Mark Renner waited inside a dim briefing room, flanked by Joint Chiefs. No applause, no cameras, only the sound of rain ticking on glass. Harlow began her report with the same calm she had in battle. Operation Tideglass compromised 4 training sites, she said. We neutralized 1 node. 3 remain under review. Charts flickered across the screen faces, encrypted patterns, red dots marking infiltration routes. Renner leaned forward. You're telling us the Navy trained its own saboteurs? Harlow didn't flinch. Unknowingly, sir. The enemy learned to hide inside our efficiency. Her tone stayed flat, but the weight behind it crushed the room. Caleb watched her from the side table. She looked older now, like the years had finally caught her. Still, when she spoke, the air obeyed. One general asked, What about civilian exposure? Harlow's eyes narrowed. There won't be any. We fix it before anyone knows it happened. Then she turned toward Caleb. And he's proof the system still produces loyalty. Caleb stiffened under the attention. He wasn't used to being called proof of anything. He just knew too many men had died for secrets they never understood. After the debrief, Harlow requested a private room. She opened a secure locker and slid a file toward Caleb Operation Iron Lantern, declassified. Inside were 2 names, Daniel Mercer and Alan Hallstrom. She spoke quietly. They weren't enemies, Caleb. They were both trying to stop the same infection. He scanned the pages, intel leaks, black budgets, encrypted communications, all pointing to the same rot that became Tideglass. Your father exposed the network, Harlow said. Alan tried to contain it. They met halfway and neither survived. Caleb closed the file slowly. Then what does that make us? Harlow looked at him for a long moment. The generation that has to finish what they started. Her voice didn't rise, but it filled the space like a promise. Later that week, he visited Jace Hallstrom's holding cell. Behind the glass, Jace looked nothing like the man he had fought. Calm, collected, almost relieved. "Did you ever think we were on the same side?" Caleb asked. Jace smiled faintly. "Maybe once. But sides don't matter when the truth gets buried." The guards took him away before Caleb could answer. Outside, Lena and Noah waited near the transport bay. Lena was heading back to complete SEAL training. Noah had been offered a place in naval intelligence. They both looked at Caleb. "What about you?" "Kent in Tenger and the Probable." He glanced toward the distant hangars, where Harlow's staff prepared another quiet deployment. "I'm staying," he said. "Not as a trainee, as something else." Noah nodded, understanding without words. Weeks passed. Investigations spread across the branches. Quiet, but relentless. Harlow worked behind closed doors, burning through meetings, reports, and denials. When the official commendations came, they were classified. No medals, no press, just a sealed letter acknowledging service rendered under Directive Echo Blue. Months later, the new SEAL class assembled at Raven Sound. Caleb stood at the edge of the training field, clipboard in hand, observing rookies crawling through mud. One of them stumbled, swore, then froze when he saw Caleb's stare. "Keep moving," Caleb said. "No one's impressed by clean boots. Thank you for watching." He turned as footsteps approached Harlow, wearing her plain gray uniform again. Her prosthetic leg clicked softly against the gravel. "Still haunting the field, Admiral?" he teased lightly. "Old habits," she replied. "I like watching arrogance wear off." They both smiled, tired, genuine, wordless. From the hilltop, they could see the memorial near the seawall. Names carved into dark stone. Daniel Mercer, Alan Hallstrom, and dozens more. Harlow paused there, her reflection blending with theirs. "Sometimes I wonder," Caleb said quietly, "if either of them would be proud." "They would," Harlow answered. "Not because we won, but because we didn't stop fighting." She touched the stone once, then turned toward the sea. Her comms device buzzed softly. A voice on the other end said, "Director, we found new tide glass signature's origin. Washington." Harlow's eyes hardened. "Understood. Maintain blackout until I arrive." Caleb caught her expression. "It's not over, is it?" "Not even close," she said. The wind carried her words out over the water like a warning. As she walked away, dawn light caught the edge of her prosthetic silver against gray. Caleb stayed by the memorial, watching the tide rise and erase footprints in the sand. Quiet authority, invisible but unbreakable, still guarded the shore. And somewhere beyond the horizon, the next shadow was already moving. If you enjoyed the story, consider sending a super chat to help bring more stories like this. Now, click on the video on the screen to hear another story that's just as powerful and captivating, with courage, sacrifice, and a choice that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about duty and justice.